Hi guys, it's Denise with Create Your Future. Thanks for joining me for today's video. Today we are going to talk about manifesting your dream relationship. So before we get into that, as many of you know, we're running a contest and you have a chance, 3 of you, have a chance to win a coaching session with the coach of your choice by commenting on any of our videos, some things that you have manifested using law of assumption and being a subscribed listener to our channel. Also, if anyone is interested in coaching, the link is in the description below. I am available for coaching if you need help creating a mental diet, identifying your limiting beliefs, identifying blocks, moving through them, support, accountability, and motivation. I'm here for you. I got you. Also, hopefully you get that from these videos. I intend that you're getting that from these videos. And I have a couple of courses out, a course in creating a more confident version of yourself called the I Am course, and then a course in living in the end. And so obviously that's called Living in the End. And you can reach them through links in the description below. All right. So we're going to get into talking about creating your ideal relationship, manifesting your dream relationship, like getting it the way you want it. And the first thing I want to start out by reminding you guys is that manifestation is a process. Your whole life is a process. So the things you're manifesting, while some of them happen very quickly and they drop in exactly the way you wanted, oftentimes, especially when it's something like a relationship or like a career change, like there is a natural evolution to these things unfolding in your life. So the most important thing to remember while you're manifesting your dream relationship is to not be discouraged if it's not showing up at all, or if it's not showing up all the way. Like, just keep persisting and keep going, and it will all click in, and it will all conform, and it will show up just the way you want it. But be flexible with what you're getting from your 3D while you're manifesting, because that flexibility, that acceptance of your 3D reality, and flexibility with not being moved too much by the things that seem like they're opposite is what's going to propel you closer to your goal faster, because it's in that acceptance and that flexibility that you're also expressing or assuming confidence that it's going to work out for you. So that's where we want you to be, is to that place where you start to understand and feel and know that even though it's not conforming right away, or it's not showing up in entirety right now, or maybe not even at all right now, it's okay, because if you persist in this new story and if you persist in your new thoughts, it will in time unfold and progress naturally and harmoniously, and you'll be so grateful that you persisted, okay? I have several clients right now. There are like about 7 of them that I can think of that are all sort of at the same place. They've all been focused on self-concept. They've all been manifesting someone that they've already had in their lives back. I think all of these clients have. One of them manifested somebody new entirely, but the others, it still doesn't matter. So anyway, one of them manifested a new SP, and the rest of them are manifesting SPs, exes, SPs of their past. Some have third parties, some don't. Some had third parties, some don't. I think they all maybe did. There might have been 1 or 2 that didn't have a third party at all, but just several breakups. Either way, all of these clients, there are a couple without any third parties or third party history. All of these clients are right now in the midst of experiencing great change with their specific people. They're all experiencing this new version of their specific person. They've all been through manifesting them multiple times. They all started just wanting the person, focus on the person, intentions about the person, despite efforts to focus on self-concept. Typically, that's what happens in the beginning. You want a specific person, and it's suggested to do self-concept affirmations, but usually the person manifesting is so focused on the goal that they sort of make the other person the priority, and so they continue to manifest for that. And usually what happens is you get that person, but it's not really how you want, it's not the way you want, or it doesn't last. And that is an indicator that there's some self-concept stuff that's missing. So again, not again, because I haven't said this yet, but self-concept isn't always necessary in manifesting a specific person. Sometimes there already is a strong self-concept, and that's not the block or the issue as to why it's not manifesting. But in these cases, it has been. And with myself, it was as well. So as they've gone through this manifesting journey, right? They've manifested the recipes several times. They've seen a lot of hot and cold behavior. Then it got to where they were, coached and accepted, like, it's time to do self-concept seriously, and like get through everything else, and now, like, that's what's left. Like, this is the area where you need to focus. So they've all persisted in their self-concept over and over again, persisting in self-concept when thinking about the specific person, persisting in the new story, if there's any recreating that needs to be done, or just, they're single and they're pursuing me, or I'm the one they choose, or they're wildly in love with me and they're ready for this relationship, whatever their, specific blocks were about it. Focusing dominantly on self-concept when thinking about the specific person, making sure that the mental diet is in check and the thoughts are in support. And then just practicing over and over again to feel the end, to feel that it's happening, to know to have the confidence that it's going to happen, right? It's like that feeling of not being so worried about it because it's coming. That feeling of, even if it doesn't show up right now or for the next 6 weeks or 6 months, it's okay because I know it's going to happen. That feeling of, I know my thoughts create, and I know I'm going to get my desired manifestation no matter what, so it's okay. So they're practicing self-concept, mental dieting about specific person, and affirming for specific person too, just making sure that self-concept is dominant, and then practicing the confidence and the certainty of the relief, I guess, is the feeling, how that would be described, is relief. It's not that anxious, uncomfortable, like, ooh, this has to happen. Oh, it's this, it's okay. Everything's working out. I'm getting there. It's fine. Even if I'm seeing nothing right now. Good, great. I'm seeing nothing. Good. That means I'm just working on my foundation. I'm stabilizing. I'm creating more confidence within myself, and I am getting there. So those are like the key elements, right? It's like focusing on self-concept, focusing on any areas with your specific person that you need to recreate, or any old story beliefs that you need to create a new story for, making sure you're determined in sticking with that new story, even while the old story is playing out in your 3D. Remember, that's a big, huge, huge part of it, you guys, is that it's not like you're going to write down your new story and say it for 2 days and suddenly your reality just shifts drastically. Sure, that's possible. It's absolutely 100% possible if that new story becomes your dominant belief or assumption within those 2 days. That's the only way it's possible. So I want you to understand that if you start saying your affirmations and you start scripting and you start living in the end and you're doing sats and you're doing all these things, but it's been 7 days or 7 weeks and nothing has changed or not much has changed, that doesn't mean it's not working. It just means it hasn't become your dominant assumption yet. Remember, your reality is comprised of your dominant assumptions. Everything that's happening around you, every single thing, from things you see on social media, things you see on the news, things you hear on the radio, things people are talking about in front of you at the grocery store, things your friends are talking about in front of you, things your friends are saying to you, things your SP is doing and saying to you, things that you're seeing people do on the streets when you're driving around, or if you're walking or on the train or whatever. Like, all of that is a direct playback, projection, reflection, whatever you want to call it, of your assumptions. So just know that if nothing's showing, like, it's going to work. It's always going to work. If nothing's happening yet, or you're not seeing the results you want, it doesn't mean it's not working. It's always working. It just means it hasn't become dominant enough to actually be reflected, to be emitting from you so that it can project back to you. That's all it means. It just means persist and keep going, right? So when you're creating your ideal relationship, it's really important that you know what your ideal relationship looks like, tastes like, sounds like, feels like, because oftentimes people are creating a relationship based off their limiting beliefs of relationships of their past, relationships maybe they've seen with their parents or people around them that haven't been successful or haven't been all that great. So if you're doing that, I want you to get clear and identify what your ideal dream relationship is. Like, what does it look like? How do you guys communicate? How much time do you spend together? What kinds of things do you do together? What kinds of things do you talk about together? What kinds of things do you have in common? What kinds of things do you not have in common, so that you can keep bringing new interests into one another's lives? Like, these are all things to think about. What are your goals for the future in terms of family, finances, where you want to live? What's your financial status goal? Like, all of these things you want to take into account and start, first off, just identify them. Get clear on what that picture is, right? So these are all the things that I want in this person. These are all the things that I want out of this relationship. This is how we vibe. This is how we roll. This is how, whatever. This is how our future looks. And then also, how do I feel in this relationship, right? How am I feeling? I'm feeling satisfied, adored, loved, cherished. I feel like I'm on top of the world. I feel like I'm totally supported. I feel like I can achieve anything with this person by my side. We continue to encourage one another to become better people. We're always supportive of one another. There's so much love between us. We laugh all the time. Like, those things are really important to not overlook, because I, in the past, have manifested relationships with overlooking those things, and then got this relationship and I was like, ugh, like, I don't feel good here. And other people have too. So I want you to be clear, like, be specific, be clear. Don't just be specific about your person, right? It's much less about the person as it is about how you feel in the relationship. So make that your priority. Like, my priority in manifesting my dream relationship is not it's my dream relationship because it's with this person with this name. It's my dream relationship because these are the things that take place in this relationship. This is how I feel in this relationship. This is how I'm treated in this relationship. This is how I treat them in this relationship. This is how we vibe. That's why it's your dream relationship. And you can literally have that with anybody. Anybody. I know we want it with our specific people, and we can have it with them too, and that's okay. You don't have to accept anybody. You can have specifically who you want, but I want to make sure that you're determined to get who you want the way you want them, all right? And so along that journey, it's up to you whether or not you engage with them when they're not showing up the right way. It doesn't really matter what you're doing in 3D. It matters what you're assuming about what you're doing in 3D. It matters what you're assuming about what they're doing in 3D. So you can interact with them as much as you want. You can pull back as much as you want. That's almost irrelevant unless your thoughts are in alignment with one action or the other. In other words, if you are interacting with them a ton in your 3D and you're still not getting what you want, but you have an assumption that it's okay because this is how you're going to get what you want, then you're all good. If you're interacting with them a ton in 3D and still not getting what you want, but you have an assumption that you're being used, or that you're not going to get what you want, or that you're going to waste your time, or you're feeling like, you're being exposed and you're going to look like a fool at the end of this, that's not good. No bueno. You're not in alignment. So you're not going to be getting what you want. So in that case, you either need to reprogram those beliefs and start telling yourself, I'm still getting what I want. Like, don't let yourself assume that someone can use you, because they can't unless you assume they can. So you want to assume that they're falling deeply in love with you. They want to be with you by, for the rest of their lives. They're opening up. They're learning to be more comfortable in this relationship. They're healing from their past experiences, or they're becoming a better version of themselves, whatever it is. Or you will need to actually pull back a little bit in your 3D if you can't reprogram those beliefs, right? If you can't start to affirm and get behind a new concept of how you're being, then you will need to be differently, because if it's not in alignment, it's just not going to work out for you, okay? So if you decide to pull back, that's fine. But also, if you decide to pull back, don't start telling yourself that, they're going to pull back even further now, or like, you have to be on top of your mental diet no matter what you're doing, right? So it's much less important how you are in 3D as it is about what you're thinking about how you are in 3D, or like I said, what you're thinking about how they are in 3D. So don't go assigning any negative meanings to the things that they're doing. Remember, you create what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their motivation is. It's all up to you. It's your assumptions. So get really honest with yourself about what your dominant natural assumptions are and then create new ones and move forward from there. Okay, so identify your dream relationship. Identify your path of least resistance to getting there. And so that's what I just talked about. Your path of least resistance is what's the easiest thing for you to believe naturally to get you there. Is it engaging more and being okay with it and knowing that it's just you're nurturing the relationship, you're building a foundation, you're building trust between you two? Or is it pulling back a little bit because you have a natural assumption that if I pull back, they're going to want me more? That's okay if that's your natural assumption. People have that, and that's fine. You can work with it, right? So you want to work with your natural assumption. That's how you get your path of least resistance. And then you continue to persist in this new story. So you're worthy to have what you want. This person wants to give you what you want. They love everything about you. Obviously, you have to come up with what your own limiting beliefs are, or hit one of us up for coaching, because that's what we do. We can help you with that. But you have to come up with what your own limiting beliefs are to come up with your ideal affirmations. You have to know what your old story is in order for you to create your new story. And then you just persist in it. You persist in that new story. You don't give up. And that doesn't mean you have to tell this new story 100% of each day for the rest of eternity. It just means you keep revisiting it. If you slip, if you find yourself thinking the old story, it's okay. You just keep revisiting your new story. Remember, your goal is to achieve a dominant assumption, right? Your reality is a manifestation of your dominant assumptions. So what's dominant? It's more than 51%, or it's 51% or more. It's more than half. Anything that's over half is dominant, right? So you want to think of it that way. It's not, I have to be perfect on my mental diet. I have to be perfect and constantly only think these thoughts. No, not at all. You just have to be consistent and dominant with your mental diet and with your new story. So looking at it as over a period of time, I more often think the new story than I do the old story. Success. Yes, you're getting there. And at first, that's not going to be the case, because your old story naturally, since it is manifesting, is your dominant story. So you, as you're transitioning into your new story, you are going to be naturally dominant in the old story, and that's fine. You're going to feel like you're going back and forth. Yep, you are. You are, and that's fine, because what's going to happen is eventually the scales are going to tip and you're going to find yourself more dominantly in your new story. So just go with it. Don't worry about it. As your reality is reflecting back the old story, but you're working toward creating a new story, don't let the fact that reality is still reflecting the old story deter you from persisting and doing the best you can at being dominantly focused on your new story. I think that's the biggest trip up with people when they start doing this, is like, I started all my stuff, nothing changed, and it felt exhausting. And I get that. But if you don't expect it to change right away, it's not going to be as exhausting. If you are fully aware of what you're stepping into and you can accept that, okay, there's an old story that's been at play dominantly within me. I'm learning to tell my brain an entirely new story. So there's going to be a period of fluctuation. There's going to be a period of back and forth, hot and cold, doubt and confidence. And that's natural and normal, and it's totally okay. Don't let that be the thing that makes you want to give up or think it's not going to work, because that is exactly part of the process that's showing you that you're doing it, right? It's showing you you're putting in the work. You're starting to tell a new story. You're doing the best you can. And yes, the old story is still dominant, so it's still going to show up, but eventually it stops. Eventually it dissipates, it goes away, it gets quieter and softer and softer and softer, and then it's just not there anymore. So just keep persisting. Trust yourself, trust the process, believe in yourself, find that confidence within you, okay? You're worthy of having your dream relationship with your person that you want to have it with. And it's you believing that makes it happen, right? So, and how do you believe something? You keep thinking it over and over again. You keep telling yourself it is truth. You know, that's something I said to a client earlier. She asked about feeling like, I'm going to word it differently, but whatever. She asked about feeling like she's lying to herself, basically. And I reminded her that, like, we're not affirming for what already is. Unless what already is exactly how we want it, great. But also, if our reality is happening exactly how we want it, then it's our dominant story, and you don't have to continue to affirm for it. But so we're not affirming for what already is. What already is came from the thoughts we were having before it manifested. So what we're affirming for now, when we say I am loved, I am chosen, I am cherished, I am in my dream relationship, we're not saying that to affirm, see, I am, look, it's right here in front of me. We're saying that to, I am, look, I'm headed there. I am, that's where I'm going now. Because what's right in front of you came from the I ams you were thinking yesterday or 3 weeks ago or 3 months ago, okay? Your reality right now in front of you is the past. It came from your old story. So your new story needs to be in the future. It needs to be about what you want next. It needs to be about what's coming around the corner, right? And don't just tell yourself, I don't need to believe in these affirmations. I am creating my truth with these affirmations. I don't need to believe in it now. It will become my truth as I say it. Because there is no truth outside of you that is definitive other than your God. There is no truth outside of you that just is, and you're here to discover it. Oh, I've discovered the truth. That's not how it works. Your assumption in something being true is what makes it become your truth, right? So think of it that way. I don't have to believe these affirmations. I just need to persist in them, and then I'm creating my truth as a result. So it's all malleable. You're in control of all of it. And it's all a process. It's a continuation of thought, of imagination, right? Your 3D reality unfolding before you is a continuation of the thoughts you've been focused on. It's a manifestation, but it will continue is what I'm saying. It just keeps evolving and keeps expanding and keeps happening. So that's my video. I intend that you guys found it useful and got a lot of good little nuggets and tidbits out of it. I intend that you all have heaps and heaps and heaps of success in manifesting greater versions of yourselves, greater versions of your SPs, greater versions of your relationships and your finances and your health and all of those things. You guys definitely deserve to have the love that you want with the person that you want, and it is possible. You can have it. It's just about going through those steps, identifying your old story, telling your new story, sticking with it as often as possible, being consistent in your persistence, right? Which doesn't mean perfection. It just means continuously revisiting it. Every time the old story shows up, I keep renouncing it with the new story. And I just keep doing that until it starts to stick and solidify. And then even still, you keep doing it until it really solidifies and until it's reflected back to you, until it hardens into facts. And yeah, get clear on what your dream relationship looks like, smells like, tastes like, feels like, and keep revisiting that. All right? You guys are awesome. Love you all. Have an amazing time on your manifesting journey, and I'll see you next week.